What if the reason your relationships keep falling apart has nothing or very little to do with the other person? What if the loneliness that you feel, even when you're with someone who loves you, isn't about them at all? Because here's the thing that many of us find hard to get our heads around. You can be in a relationship surrounded by people who care about you and still feel completely and utterly alone. And if that's ever been you, I want you to stay with me because today we're going to talk about why that happens and, more importantly, what we can do about it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is a space where we talk honestly about relationships, intimacy, sexuality, personal growth, and building a life that really feels like it can be yours. And today's topic is one that I come back to again and again because I think it's the foundation, really, of everything else that we can talk about on this channel. And it's this, that the quality of every relationship in your life, romantic, friendships, your family, all of that, it's all ultimately a reflection of the caliber of the relationship that you have with yourself. Now, this might sound like something that you would read on a motivational poster or hear at a motivational speakers conference, but I want to show you what this actually means in real life, why it's true, and what it looks like when it's missing, and also what we can do about it. We're going to walk through this together. I'll share a story with you about someone who recognized this pattern in herself, and maybe you recognize this in yourself too. The outsourcing, the loneliness, all of it, and what she did specifically to change it. This is the concrete stuff, the unglamorous, but actually really works stuff. So let's get into it. Most of us, especially if we grew up in the West, grew up with a story about love, very specifically romantic love, that the right person would come along and complete us. Now, that love was this thing that arrived from the outside and filled in whatever was missing in us. Now, this is a beautiful idea. Honestly, it's one of the most comforting stories that humans have ever told, ourselves and each other. But it's also one of the most quietly destructive beliefs that we carry into our relationships. And it's not our fault. It's bolstered by movies and music and art and pop culture and fashion. It's everywhere we go. Of course we're going to believe it. But the thing is that when we believe that someone else is responsible for making us feel whole, we accidentally put an unbearable weight on the people that we love because we look to them to tell us who we are, whether we're lovable, whether we're enough. And no person, no matter how caring or how devoted or how emotionally intelligent, can sustainably carry that. So what happens? We feel let down, they feel the pressure, and the relationship strains under something that was never actually its job to fix. So the thing about loneliness that's really hard for us to sit with and to get into is that it doesn't just disappear because someone else is in the room. In fact, one of the most painful experiences in human life is feeling lonely inside a relationship. This particular kind of loneliness, the kind where you look at your partner, your significant others, and you think, I have someone. So why do I still feel this way? It's one of the most disorienting feelings there is. And the answer, more often than not, is that we brought that loneliness with us. We walked into the relationship carrying it, hoping it would solve something that was already there. But a partner isn't the cure for the discomfort of being with yourself. If you find silence unbearable, if solitude feels threatening, if being alone with your own thoughts is something that you avoid at all costs, a relationship isn't going to fix that. It's just going to postpone the moment when you have to face it. Now, I want to tell you about someone. We'll call her Maya. By her early 30s, Maya had never really been single for long. Every time a relationship ended, she'd find herself gravitating towards someone new, not because she'd processed what went wrong, but because the silence that came afterwards felt too uncomfortable for her to hold. She told herself that she just loved being in love, which was probably true. But if she was honest, what she really loved was the relief of not having to be alone with herself. Her relationships all followed the same arc. In the beginning, it was electric. She felt seen, she felt wanted, she felt alive. But a few months in, a quiet dread would overcome her, a low, persistent hum of loneliness that she couldn't explain, even with a devoted partner right there by her side. So she would start needing more reassurance, more check-ins, more proof that she was loved. And when her partners couldn't meet that need consistently, which, by the way, no human being can, at the volume she needed it, she would take it as evidence that something was wrong with the relationship, with them, or with her. And she cycled through this for years until one day her therapist asked a question that stopped her in her tracks. And this was the question: what do you do when you're upset and there's no one else to call? And Maya didn't have an answer, because the truth was she had no idea how to comfort herself. She'd never learned. Every difficult emotion in her life had been outsourced to friends, to partners, the relentless busyness she used to avoid the quiet moments where it was just her alone with herself. And that's when things started to shift. And now here's the part that I really want you to hear, because it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't a glow-up montage. It was slow, it was uncomfortable, and it felt like work. But it changed everything. First, she started journaling, not to be that person, but as a tool. When she felt the familiar panic after her partner didn't text back quickly, instead of reaching for her phone, she'd open her journal and she'd ask herself, this is really critical. She would ask herself, what am I feeling right now? What is the story I'm telling myself? And is it actually true? Over time, she got sharper at recognizing the difference between a real problem in her relationship and an old wound getting poked. Second, she committed to 2 evenings a week completely alone. No plans, no scrolling, no background TV, just her and whatever she wanted to do with the time. Now, at first, she lasted about 20 minutes before finding a reason to text someone, but she kept at it. And slowly, she started to like it. She rediscovered that she loved cooking elaborate meals, and that she'd always wanted to learn how to draw, and that she had opinions about things she'd quietly stopped voicing because she'd gotten so good at mirroring whoever she was with. Third, and this is a big one, she started saying no to plans she didn't want to keep, to that reflexive, I'm fine, when she wasn't, to conversations that left her drained. Every small act of honoring her own needs, even privately when no one was watching, started to slowly build a kind of self-trust she hadn't known was missing. And fourth, She went back to therapy, but this time to look at the origin of the pattern. And she came to understand that in her case, her mother had been emotionally unpredictable when she was growing up, and that as a child, Maya had learnt to manage her own anxiety by reading other people's moods and making herself agreeable and easy to be around. She had become an expert at tuning into everyone else and a complete stranger to her own interior life. And finally, she started taking herself on dates. A Saturday at a museum, a solo weekend trip to a city where she'd always wanted to visit, a standing Sunday morning walk with no particular destination. And this wasn't about being, a productivity hack or a self-improvement theatrical event. But these were genuine acts of getting to know herself because she realized she had been neglecting that relationship for a really long time. Now, the shift in Maya's relationships, they didn't happen overnight, but it was unmistakable. When she started dating again, she found herself attracted to different kinds of people, calmer, more stable people. And then she was less reactive. When a partner needed space, it no longer triggered a spiral inside her. When she disagreed with someone, she could say so without fearing the relationship would collapse. And that loneliness, the kind that had followed her from relationship to relationship for years, it started to lift. Not because she'd finally found the right person, but because she started to become the person she was looking for. She stopped being a stranger to herself. And her story isn't unique. The details change, but the structure is the same for so many people. Maybe you're hearing this and seeing yourself in Maya's story. That's because many of us come to relationships carrying an emptiness that we hope someone else will fill. And when they can't, when they inevitably fall short of being available to us every moment that we feel like we need them, or understanding us perfectly or making us feel whole, we call it the wrong relationship. And sometimes it is the wrong relationship, but often the relationship that's actually missing isn't with them. It's with you. So what does this look like in practice? Here's a few things worth asking yourself. When you're upset and there's no one to call, what do you do? Can you sit with a difficult emotion without immediately needing to offload it? Do you know what you actually need in relationships? And can you ask for it clearly and directly? Are you in a relationship currently? And are you there because you really want to be there? Or because you fear being alone? And perhaps most importantly, do you enjoy your own company? Do you like who you are? None of this means you need to be completely healed at all before you're allowed to love or be loved. It's not about that. It means that you're willing to start showing up for yourself the way you've been hoping that somebody else would be there for you. That's it. That's the whole thing. If you like this video, please share it with someone who you think needs to hear it, because I genuinely think this is one of those conversations that can shift how someone sees their entire relationship history and then their relationship future. And if you want to go deeper on any of this, the patterns, the self-awareness work, the practical side of building a better relationship with yourself, subscribe and hit the bell, because that's exactly what this channel is here for. I'll see you in the next one.